All right, so then we're going to do a top 10. We didn't do one last week, so we wanted to, give you a nice little bonus thing. So top 10 things for new players. Number 10, interact with everything you can. This includes people you just saved or people at your outposts. Talk to everybody. They can tell you where a prepper stash is. They can tell you where, a good place to fish is. They could tell. There's so many that they will tell you. And luckily, I don't know about you, but luckily I feel like there's not a lot of repeats.
No, every single mission or prepper stash or something that has come from either saving somebody or running into somebody is been new and different. And especially with the people, something I like as far as the roster system goes is you can hire them as well. So they can be soldiers for you potentially, even if they don't have a mission. So it's a very intuitive system. I have not had a repeat yet, and if I have, it's been different enough so it's not exactly the same.
Yeah, maybe they tell you about Sarah's prepper stash, but they word it in a completely different way that you just don't notice it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really like that.
Number 9, headshots. Headshots in this game, especially if you're using silent stuff or stealthy things like the bow. And this also goes for VIPs in particular. I didn't discover that VIPs are actually stronger characters because I kept throwing knives at him and he kept just flinching. So in particular,
stop tickling me.
Yeah, exactly. You make sure in this game in particular, go for the head.
Yeah, definitely. Not only that, but then you won't have the capability of them being revived, which sometimes that's good because you can kind of lure out their people if they try to go revive him. But I also feel like they're smart enough to not do that if they're way out in the open. So headshots either way. Number 8, buy red dots ASAP. Not only that, but I feel like the breadth of scopes that you can get, you really want to get used to those and figure out maybe which ones you do like, because there's some that are really long distance, some that let you change your magnification. But at the very least, we both brought up the iron sights, and they're so tiny. It's so hard to distinguish exactly what you're aiming at. And so getting that red dot, it's relatively cheap. So if you want to get a red dot and then save up for a scope later, I think it's very essential in the first hours.
Yeah, definitely. The moment I put a red dot on the AR in particular, it was immediately better accuracy.
Right.
I was killing the cult members with less rounds, and I was like, oh man, this is a necessity. That's why it's on this list, is because with a lot of rifles, it is a necessity.
Yep.
Number 7, don't forget your Ubisoft Club items. In particular, the outfits you get. There's the baseball outfit, then there's the muscle car skin as well. But you also get some weapon stuff. You get a MP5K basically right when you start the game. And especially if you've played Rainbow Six, if you have Rainbow Six Siege saved on your console, then you have access to a free a free Rainbow Six outfit.
Right.
But also there's a bunch of skins, and there's also a bunch of harvesting items that you can get, like in Assassin's Creed Origins, in the Ubisoft Club store.
Right. Number 6, unlock Harvest Master and Extra Holster. I think these two are probably one of the first two, because kind of like what you were saying with the bow and arrow, when you're only able to have that and a pistol, it could be really hard.
It makes the game a lot harder for you. It does.
Yeah, so having that extra option to have the bow and arrow and an assault rifle is really good, as far as I think that's one of the first things you do. Now, a lot of people argue that you should start doing health right off the bat. I haven't really felt the need to yet, and that's because with the new buddy system, basically, Boomer comes over and he revives me. So it's like, does it suck to die? Of course it does. But I have Boomer there, or I have one of my other guns for hire, and they come and they revive me. Only in few instances where I like something blew up and I'm surrounded in fire does he not come and get me. And then the other one is unlock Harvest Master, and that one's obviously good for when you're hunting. You get double the harvest. And so I think that and extra holster, those are probably two of the first ones, plus they're two of the more expensive ones, so get those out of the way. And it could just make your time a little bit easier as far as money and having an extra gun.
I think a good companion to Harvest Master probably would be the upgraded storage in your inventory.
Good one.
Because I've noticed that after I got Harvest Master, I would go to skin a bear and it'd say, hey, it's full. And I'd be like, oh yeah, I should probably go sell those. So, number 5, prepper stashes. Make sure you get them, and they're also really, really fun. Prepper stashes, you can get anything from perk magazines to loot to money. There's always stacks of money on top of them. You can also get ammo and inventory items as well. They're always full of stuff, and that's what I've used a lot to get money in the game and to upgrade my perks, because I've just been doing those over and over again. And they're also, each individual one I've encountered have been different. There have been a different way to get to the stash, or to, like, there's one you have to zip line across the way on this post and snipe the door through the window.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
they're
always
they
like
make it,
nice little puzzles, and I really like.
Yeah,
them.
they make it very enjoyable for you to do them. They're different, and it's like you said, it's like a puzzle. It's like, how do I solve this? How do I get in here? And they're not really hard. Every one I've done, I was like, oh, okay, I need to go there. Like, I've played enough games to know this is how it wants me to solve it.
Number 4, this might necessarily have to do with single player, but playing some arcade games is actually good for money. Even if you just do a random one, you don't really like search through them. You just do a couple of random ones. When the bar fills up, sometimes you can get a couple $1,000. And so, just when you're having fun, or if you happen to take over an outpost that has an arcade, do a couple of missions and get a couple of $1,000.
Number 3, no one pays attention to Boomer, which is totally true.
Yep.
You would think that a dog running up to them and barking at them to tell you they're there would warn them, but it really doesn't. It really doesn't.
And it's like, as soon as you do get discovered, then they'll pay attention to him. But if you want him to go and point out every enemy in an outpost, they'll just run up and be like, hey, how's it going? Like, I honestly, this might be game breaking, so to speak, but it's like I've never even really heard them acknowledge that he even exists. So he's like Ellie in The Last of Us, where it's just, I'm just here, don't mind me.
Yeah, the only time I've heard them interact with him is when I go loud and they'll be like, we gotta kill that dog.
Exactly. So when you're stealthy, they're just like, that's a dog, and that's normal in this here parts. Number 2, secondary missions are really good for money. So, and I think that also just goes with the way the game is made. The main missions are the ones, I feel like, when you fill up the bar and then you trigger something. And all the other stuff are really just side missions that obviously you're going to be unlocking parts of the map, and so you could sort of count those as main missions, but I feel like taking down each member of that's your main mission, and so everything else is side missions, but they're really good with money. And so if you're feeling yourself struggle on money, do some side missions and get some of those secondaries out of the way, and you're getting a couple $1,000 sometimes for each one.
It's also something that I was worried about when I started the game, because when I started the game, I immediately got a lot of money. Like, just by scrounging around and looting items, I got a lot of money. And it scared me at first, because I thought it was going to be like 4, which 4, you just have Monopoly money and you can buy whatever the hell you want. I mean, the economy in that game is ridiculous. But so far through my playthrough of 5, it's been really moderate. Everything's reasonably priced.
Right.
You're not making too much money that you can just buy whatever you want. Like, you gotta be, okay, do I want to buy this silencer for $1,700? Do I want to buy this gun for, so I think that has gone a long way with the secondary missions. You get a lot of money, but it's not too much. Like, it doesn't break the economy of the game. And then number 1, just have fun. Don't take this game too seriously. A lot of people are. Just have fun. This game is a blast. It's probably one of the more fun Far Cry games I've played, just because it lets you kind of just do whatever you want. You know,
exactly.
So that's the main thing. If we get anything out of this game, is have fun. Yep. It's just shooting stuff. The story, it's there. The story is there for if you want it, but don't read too much into it.
Yeah, and I mean the main reason I put this in the thing myself is there's a lot of articles out there, or there's even like I hate to say this, but like Downward Thrust, I really like Downward Thrust, but he came out with a video saying, oh, they should have said something about this, they should have done something about that. And then obviously Polygon, we already kind of commented on their BS review or whatever, but one of the main things they bring up is like, oh, they should have commentated on this, they should have commentated on that. And it's like, you know, what people are trying to say, what some people, I should preface that, what some people are trying to say is that they are not tackling certain topics, you know. And so I feel like that's a really unfair statement, because like do they straight up say like white supremacy is bad, guns are bad? No, they don't say that, but instead they chose a predominantly white cultist group who are very gun happy, and then they put you in that situation. You are a silent protagonist, so you are molding yourself into this character, so you get to decide, well, how would my character react to this, how would, you know. And I 100% appreciate that they're not beating me over the head with a bat over, hey, guns are bad, white supremacy is bad, white supremacy is bad. They're not beating me over the head with it. They're not relentlessly getting preachy, which obviously they are getting preachy, but in many different ways.
Yeah. Now it's not like a lot of these people are yelling about nothing, because Far Cry campaigns, at least 3, 4, and this one, do have a message in the campaign. Like 3 was basically about rich kids doing whatever the hell they want for the most part. 4, you had, you know, resistance and victims of war, and you know, these siblings that were trying to figure out how to save their country but maybe not do it in the right way. So there's always a message there. But also in Far Cry, the whole point of the game is to just do crazy wacky stuff.
Yeah, it's like a big open world. Exactly.
So I think a lot of people, since the beginning of them showing 5, have been wanting them to tackle and go a little bit more towards a certain way, like be a little more edgy, and then when it kind of falls flat, like it normally does, they're like, oh, well, I was really hoping this time. Well, we can talk about this on a later episode, but politics, I like politics in games, but don't focus on politics in games. Exactly. Focus on the games. It's not that hard.
Don't review a game because it doesn't have enough politics. Because here's the thing, I'm going to close off my part of the discussion. I play games to escape the world. You know, whatever side of the spectrum you're on, if you're a Democrat or you're a Republican, that doesn't matter. What you probably play a game for is to escape the world. So whatever turmoil is happening in your world, whatever political unrest is happening, you go to your game to escape that. That's what it is. Just like a movie, which movies can be preachy in their own ways, but specifically games, I feel like it's real escapism. So having a game that, like I said, is not beating me over the head is very good. But it still presents me with these topics. Maybe not in a in-your-face way, because, like I said, they don't necessarily say that white supremacy is bad, but it's very predominantly white, you know? And so what kind of world would this be with this type of cult? It still brings those questions. It might not 100% answer them. It might not answer them in the way you like, but, you know, down to everything, just have fun. This is an escape from the real world. This is a way to go and do something that you could never do before, like put a remote charge on a cow.
Yeah. It's one of those that I totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
I play games to escape.
Yep.
I play games to get lost in this world. So if I want to get lost in this world, put a remote charge on a cow, or just beat the cow up with my fists, and then go and do a Prepper stash, I can totally do that, and I can enjoy the campaign and the story they're trying to tell at the same time. I don't have to sit there and be like, oh God, I wish they would focus more on religion or why guns need to be banned, or this is the reason why guns need to be. It's just.
Yeah,
you're making a fool out of yourself. Leave that for the
politicians. Leave that for the people. That's their job. It's their job to debate that. Leave it to them.
Yeah. It's the game maker's job to bring up a discussion, but it's not their job to tackle this issue the way they see fit.
Exactly. Because then you run the risk of, the left getting mad or the right getting mad or boycotting the game and stuff like that. So I feel like they handled it in a pretty good way. They still brought the subjects to the game, but they just didn't make you, okay, you have to think this way, and I appreciate that. So number 1, everybody, have freaking fun. It's a freaking game.